Welcome to the Life Chat Podcast, seeking the truth with Derek Powell, navigating you through. Every Wednesday night, new topics ignite. Join the journey, let's take flight. Bringing insights that change our view. Derek's voice, clear and true. Tune in each week, discover new light. Life Chat Podcast, reach a new height.
Welcome once again to Life Chat Podcast. Everybody, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for being a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And tonight, I believe that we're really in for a treat. I believe that everybody's going to definitely learn something tonight, something that you probably didn't have any idea of. Because the guest that I have tonight for everybody, for us, I'm going to say for us because she's my guest as well. So the guest that we have tonight I believe, is a very, very powerful woman. I believe she is a very strong motivator and a very educated lady that wants to offer her solutions to certain life situations. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to jump right into the topic for tonight with Miss Denise, uniquely made Bowman. Uniquely made. Hello, Miss Bowman.
Or good evening, should I say?
I was kind of hoping that you liked the intro. I was kind of hoping that you liked the intro that I gave. You know, because I consider you to be a very intelligent, intellectual lady, and just through our conversation over the phone when we first connected, and I'm not afraid. I just wanted to put it out there how we connected, how we met. I'll let you handle that part. I'll let you handle.
No,
So go ahead, just give us a little bit about what you have. Give us a little bit about what you have for Fire to Freedom, Pay the Purpose.
So my name is Denise Bowman, also known as Uniquely Made on social. And I am Fire to Freedom, Pain into Purpose. So a little bit about me is at a very young age, maybe or as early as 10 months, I was in a house fire. And so this is where that purpose stemmed from. And so this is kind of what I focus on. I am a mother, I'm a friend, I am a sister, and I am a changed woman. So that is definitely my basis.
When you say a changed woman, what do you mean? What do you mean changed woman? Changed from?
Right. So with that that Fire to Freedom, as I grew up, I'm from Detroit. Um, and as I grew up, I kind of faced challenges, right? Facing challenges that we all can kind of relate to, insecurities, just being around in environments where things weren't as easy to be heard, right? It wasn't as easy to use that authority, your voice, to feel, to speak, to be. And so as I got older, I noticed even for myself that, hey, this is definitely, oh, well, hello. This is definitely one of those things where we grow, right? The term I like to use is breakthrough. A lot of people say broken, there's people that say trigger, trauma, but what I call it is breakthrough. And so as I gotten older, I understood who I was, which was fearfully and wonderfully made. And so that's where uniquely made stems from.
So why is it your choice to say breakthrough and remove trauma and those other stigmatic words?
Yes, because those words is what keeps us in place. I've been traumatized, meaning, I'm carrying these things. And so when I use breakthrough and as I coach, I say breakthrough. Everything we've been through already. We're on the other side of it. But so many people focus on feeling like we're in the now as we speak about it, right? So that's where the transformation comes in. It's through the breakthrough.
We're starting to have a little issue with the connection. Starting just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll work itself out.
Okay.
We're gonna keep this thing going.
All right.
I also wanted to know. I want you to give, just a little bit of information about what fire to freedom and pain to purpose mean to you specifically? How did you come
Mhm.
to the point of wanting to entitle your movement? I'm going to call it a movement. Entitle your movement fire to freedom and pain to purpose. And what do you
Yes,
actually offer? What does your movement actually offer?
so with that fire to freedom, I have a thing called the big MOFA, right? It's the big motivator. Um, and so that's where our purpose stems from. For me, it was the fire that I had been through at a very, very young, early age that would carry me throughout the years in insecurity and pain and overthinking, right? How I would be seen, how I'm being perceived, all those things. And as I understood that, that's actually what's been my motivator this whole time. That's what got me the freedom where I am now, right? Can you hear me? Is it going in and out?
We're still having issues with the connection.
Okay, just double
I'm not
check.
even sure if you're still talking, if you finished talking, but because the connection it was so distorted. But if you can you repeat what you were saying?
All right, I think we're back.
Are you okay? So if you can, since the connection was a little distorted, but can you repeat what you were saying?
Okay, I'm trying to see if you can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
Okay, hopefully we're clear. So, as I was saying with the fire to freedom, it stemmed from a very early age, and with that being the purpose. Okay, yeah, with that being the purpose for the movement, it was that fire in the belly. I had always had it. It had always been there, right? And it motivated me to push through. It motivated me to push through life as I overcame the insecurities, the overthinking, just not thinking that I could speak up, not thinking that I could be the very person that I had always felt that I was.
So is it safe to say, just like the conversation that we had on the phone a couple of days ago, right?
Mhm.
Is it safe to say that our interpretation, our the meaning of the fire part is that kind of mutual? Because in my opinion, when I like for my book, fire in the belly, the fire represents like the determination, the determination to overcome certain situations, to keep pushing forward, not to give up. That it's a strong drive, a strong will within your gut, within your belly, to keep moving forward. Is it safe to say that that's where fire to freedom kind of, is that sort of similar?
Yes. Yes, it is. Because everything starts in the gut, right? That's where the intuition is. That's where everything that we carry, everything that we take in, it starts from the gut. How do we feel about it? How is it when it goes in? How is it processed, right? And this is everything we do. The conversations we have, the things that we eat, right? The trauma that people would say that we go through, we feel it, right? And we kind of store it. And so with that, as it's in the belly and it's firing up, we have to understand this is all things we can use.
Mm-hmm.
This is the big motivator, right? This can be the big motivator, and that's when it switches to pain and to purpose.
I'm glad you mentioned that about being a big motivator, because earlier I was thinking to myself, about different things. I'm always doing before the episodes. I'm always thinking about certain key things that I might try to listen for, and respond to, but it never really happens. But that one thing about the determination part, and just learning from the pain, because pain can be a motivating factor. It can be a learning. It can also be a learning experience. Everything in life is a learning experience, right? So no matter what it is. So in saying that, the purpose, where do you get the purpose? Where does the purpose come from? after the experiences, because we can go through things and not really get anything from them, not learn anything, not pull anything or absorb. So where's the purpose coming at?
Right. So with being left with scars, right? With being left with scars, that was the thing that held me back from a lot of things, right? And mostly from not being seen. And so with going through that pain and that experience, it birthed my purpose. It was the very reason why, or the very things that held me back, that I was able to break through. Meaning, um, being seen, right? Being able, excuse me, being seen, right? Being able to show up as who I am, clear, you know, not covered up, not hiding. There's a lot of things I used to do, you know, things like, because I have burns throughout my body. A lot of people say they don't notice, right? Um, but that's the thing, I didn't even notice, even for myself, that I already had it in me. I already had the authority. Things that was already doing, I didn't notice for myself, because I was so used to covering everything up, not speaking up, not being seen, not being heard, right? But it's those things that I had been breaking through the whole, that finally said, hey, this this is a thing, right? Sometimes we feel that we are not seen, right? But then you have people that repeat things, and that can also cause trauma, right? Things that people repeat, and then we replay and replay. But once I figured out, hey, I'm more unique than most, right? I got positive feedback. Hey, that one thing that you said that day, it really
Awesome.
helped. Can you hear me?
I, I want you to, I want to hear more about what the uh, purpose behind your movement is. Is there a particular group of individuals that you cater to, or is this
Yes.
just a broad base?
Yes. So I cater to women that has uh, that big motivating factor, meaning they feel that there's something there. They know that they have something in them, right? The fire has been lit already. The fire has been lit already. So I would say average, uh, maybe 27 to 45, 50, something like that age range, where they feel like they're having to restart life. That's who they are. That thing that they say, hey, I've been held back for too long, right? I've been held back for too long, and now I want to do something different. It's time to shift. It's time to transform. It's time to break through. So this is the age range of women that I help, and they are ready to start over. They are ready to start from a space where, and I could say this for anybody, right? We're always healing. We're always working on ourselves. So just with
Is,
that, this is what I focus on.
all right. So is there a particular uh, curriculum, or what is the curriculum that you have in place the uh, for the participant, for your participant
So
client? I'm going to say
I have
client.
a right. So I have a 90-day program, and it's called the Breakthrough Transformation, where I coach you through 90 days. And this is the thing with 90 days for anybody, is when you can tell if this is for them, or if this is just one of those sparks that wasn't lit just yet, right? And so we start with that big anchoring, the why factor. Why am I here? Why do I show up every day? What is it about me that stands out? What is it about me where I feel like I'm hurting the most? That pain, the pain that we carry, the pain that we've been through. With those things are their tools, right? We have that tool
Hmm.
bag where it's like, hey, I know these things, I've experienced these things. Now how can I use them? Now how can I use
Is
them? And so with
Go ahead. Go ahead. Listen.
it's going in and out.
Okay, but we can keep going. We can keep going.
Okay.
All right. So now you're based in. Are you based in Detroit or are you based somewhere else?
So I do all of this through Google Meet or Zoom, depending on the setup. But I'm from Detroit, and now I'm in Tennessee, which is another part of my breakthrough.
Detroit to Tennessee. Okay. All right. So that was
Detroit
a
to
kind of
Tennessee.
was that so is that part of that move? Was is that part of your what you feel is a part of your purpose? Is that was that a push for you as far as sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone, we have to get out of the place that we're familiar with and go to another area, another region, somewhere else, another town, another state, another city, wherever, whatever.
Hmm.
Was that part of your purpose to remove yourself from your comfort zone and start over, start new, or as people would say, start anew, start fresh?
Yes, yes, yes. And that's where it began. That's where the start of the breakthrough began, with that transformation. One day I woke up and I said, "Hey, I've had so many titles, right? I've had so many titles, and I just wanted to let that off of me, be just being me, right? And to grow up very young with the same friends that's on the same block, all of those things, and hear the same things over and over. It's like, is it just me? Because we have times where we can move location, but we still move with the location.
Mm. Mm.
So with that, I had to make sure, hey, it's some things that I need to leave behind, and it wasn't just the people or the place. It was the environment, but it was also the ways, right? Because I've come so far. Connections, all the things that um, I thought made me who I wasn't who I was, and so that was a part of the transformation.
I'm going to say, I'm going to just say emotional baggage, and we all have it. We all have it, and sadly, a lot of us carry it for longer than we probably should.
Hmm.
I know. I still that's stuff that I probably should have let go a few years ago, but it's just a part of me. I don't want to say it's a part of us, but it's a part of me. It's part of some things I just haven't let go. Some things I refuse to let go. But I know that I probably should be for the betterment of me as being an individual. But also, you know, I, I, I'm not sure if you did mention it earlier, but we met on TikTok, right? I met I met you on TikTok, and
Yeah.
by TikTok being a hugely popular social media outlet, what do you find a difference between a social media setting and doing what you do with others and for yourself and or physical? Is there what is do you find the difference there other than just comment, just touch and all that type?
I There is somewhat of a difference, right? But this is the thing. This is the thing. I know that when we connect, right, in the internet social environments, when we connect, this is why, one of the reasons why we met on TikTok is because my decision was to go to a place once again in life, because it's another breakthrough. I was never social, right? So when I say, you know what, that's something that I need to break through for myself. But even with that, we can bring things to social that is from our lives. And so this is what transformed me to say, hey, let me open up this environment so that way I can connect with people and show them, hey, even on this platform, even on these platforms, we still show up as who we are, even when we don't see it. And so that's how we met on TikTok. Once I got on there, I started to connect with people, which is I'm known as uniquely made. And over again, you'll hear people say, "You are what your name is," because I am a disruptor. I am a person that shifts room. You know, I come in very, very quiet. I come in very quiet. I observe everything, and I only mostly speak when it's meant for me to, right? And that's a lot of times we can. We can ramble, or we can tell things, or we can share things, which is what they call trauma dumping. But everything should be done with a purpose. And this is what I share with people. This is how I connect with people on social.
Okay. I'm, I'm not sure if you remember part of our conversation the other day, and I mentioned
Hmm.
the but when people come on this platform, and I always and people say, well, what gives this person the right to say this, or what qualifies this person uh, to feel like they can to say this or do this. So
Right.
I want you to present what qualifies you to offer the information that you're offering tonight. What qualifies you to be the person to speak and share on the topic for tonight, the topic that you came up with, basically.
Yes. So fire to freedom, pain into purpose. It stems from a very deep space in my heart. Um, Having many experiences all of my life with these scars, things that are a part of me, things that are a part of me. I am here to teach people and show people, hey, for everything that we go through, for everything that we break through, it is still a part of us. But we can also turn that into the very thing that blesses us and connects us to other people. I have been through the fire and back. So many experiences that I can think of, I can share. Like you said, just being in violent areas, drugs, fighting, bad relationships, right? Single parenthood, all those things, just feeling alone, not feeling like I have family, not feeling like I have connection. These are things that I was able to build and create, right? And so this is what allowed me to become a coach. This is what allowed me to say, hey, you're not alone, right? There's other people out here that can also feel like they're so unique, which is what the society would say is weird, which society would say maybe even is a part of the 1%. But we are here as creators, right? And this is what I show you. The very things that you already have on the inside is what I'm here to help you pull it out, right? Who you are, uniquely made. That is who you are. That is who you were born to be. But even through the trials and tribulations, we can work through those and overcome. And I have so many conversations with people, um, with being a hairstylist for over 20 years. This is where I knew then, oh, I'm highly qualified. Um, just being a hairstylist, I didn't even think. I just thought those were regular conversations, right? But being a God girly, right? Just anchored in that, just making sure I know the fruits of the spirit, to be kind to people first before anything, to understand them, to hear them out, right? Hours and hours of listening, hours and hours of just waiting and allowing people to share that space, right? To have that space. Um, this is when I knew this was for me.
When you first encounter uh, individuals in a, I'm going to call it a session. When you first encounter individuals in a session, sometimes we come in and a lot of people are kind of nervous or standoffish because we really
Mhm.
don't you really don't know the individual that well yet. Uh, what's the technique? I want to know at least just one technique, like I'm going to call it the icebreaker. One technique to try to soften the individual up, to open up.
So this is something that I do natural in conversation, which is what would trigger people to ask me, "Are you a therapist?" You know, and before you know it, I'm like, "No, I am a certified health and life coach." So one thing that I do, and this is naturally, which you can do too, because this is how I teach people to connect, is ask the curious questions. Ask the curious questions. So many times we judge, right? So many times we want to relate. So many times we want to connect, right, through these trauma things. But in order to get to know somebody, you have to ask the curious question. So it's the very thing that, say, for instance, Even when I met you, right, on TikTok, and I sat back in the room, and every single thing I said, you laughed or you giggled because you're like, hold on, wait, she know me? Or who are you, right? I think that was a question that you asked, if I'm not mistaken.
I just wanted to know. Like sometimes I just like to pick people's brains with small little
Mhm.
things. I probably don't even things that I probably never ever use or get to use. But I just like to pick people's brains and wonder how they think sometimes. And because I finally, after all these years of being on this planet, I finally realized that sometimes my way just not getting it. But
Right.
yeah. So that
What
was the
was
reason why I asked that question. But
what was something that
to try to
that
to try
triggered
to
you?
wind everything down.
Hmm. Okay.
You said again.
No, I was saying, what was something that, when we were introduced to each other, what was something that stood out?
I couldn't really hear that.
Oh, when we were introduced to each other, what was something that stood out for
I
you?
couldn't.
Is it still
I could not hear. I couldn't hear any of that.
okay? Let's see. One moment. All right, let me know if it's straightened up.
Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Now I was asking when we were introduced to each other, what was it for you that kind of stood out?
The conversation, and the way that you were responding to the topic that was going on. Because initially, the topic that was going on was really nothing. It was really nothing. It was just me and another individual on TikTok. We were on live, and we were just rambling. And you came on, and you jumped in, and the way that your wordage, the way that you started discussing what you were discussing, and the title, your bio. When I read the bio and I read the uniquely made first of all, and then the fire, the freedom, pain, the purpose, which was in your part of your bio,
Mhm.
and it kind of triggered something. It kind of triggered me to ask, what was that about? And the way that you responded to the questions was more than just a generic conversation on TikTok Live. It was more of a professional type of vibe going on there. And I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you noticed, but even the other person, he kind of slowed down a little bit because
Yes.
I think it kind of caught him off surprise, kind of grabbed him in a different way than the conversations that we used to having on live. Because it was more, like I said, it was more of a professional type of vibe and type of conversation. And you brought that, you changed that the whole dynamic of the conversation. I don't know if that was intentional, but you did.
Yes, it,
But
it
you
was.
did.
It was. So I was newly introduced to that person, which is funny to see you on there. And so I was newly introduced, and what I do, um, I am, like I said, I am a room shifter, conversation shifter. All when I say, anybody can ask, and maybe they're viewing right now. Um, but yeah, it's the curious questions. This is, I never stop being curious. People are growing daily, right? We're growing daily. And we have to understand those small wins are really big. To us, they are small, right? But we have breakthroughs every day. We have breakthroughs every day. And so this is something where we view it as a new perspective. So if we're not connecting to new people, right, getting that new information, being resourceful, being the person, being the seed. This is something that I am very, very stern on, being the seed, right? Seeds are very small, but that seed, when it's planted in the right places, in the right soil, becomes the roots, the very roots to the beginning of something major, right? It becomes that branch, that the base, then it becomes branches, then it becomes leaves. This is how we grow, right? This is how we are rooted into everything that we've become. We start very, very small. And so as we grow and we grow through things, we also change seasons, just like the leaves. They fall, they come back. They fall, they come back. And so nothing is wrong with failing, right? But we also have to know it's always shifts that's being made, always
As,
shifts.
as as like, being a little more seasoned, being a little more seasoned. Uh, Now I can accept that. I can accept what you just said about there's nothing wrong with failing. Because at one point, just the word fail, the word failing, word fail is a negative. And just to hear myself say, "Oh man, I messed up. Yeah, I didn't do this right." That does something to you on the inside. It does something to every cell in your body. Like, once again, let me rephrase that. Does something to me on the inside. Does something to every cell in my body. It tells
Mhm.
me that maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I'm no good. Maybe I'll never get this. I'll never get it right. So just by you saying, you know, the part about failing is not actually failing is not always a negative, but it depends on where you're at in your space. Up here in your level of maturity, in your level of understanding. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, sometimes fail. Sometimes, most of the time, majority of the time, not not meeting the mark, not making the mark is it can be a plus, but it depends on what you take out of that. What I take out of that. And I shared with you before about my process. Part of my process is I'm glad you mentioned that too. Give me something to think about. Part of my process is the recovery process, and I mentioned I'm not just only recovering um, from substance use, recovering from trauma, recovering from incarceration. At
Breaking
one point,
through.
that was at one point breaking through. I, Thank for the correction. Thank for the correction.
Hmm.
At one point, there was homelessness. All these different things, and feeling inadequate. But if I don't learn anything, if I don't pick anything out of those situations, then that's probably where I'm going to stay. I'm probably going to stay in that lane. Um, but yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that part about the failing part because that
and
took that
and
that
I
just
love, breakthrough is another terminology because my first and my last name is Denise Bowman, and so that is Debo, right? And so we put on our gloves and we
uh,
break through. And so it's definitely one of those things where it's more powerful, right? Right? Once you feel that it's breaking through. Exactly, and that's what it is. We have to try though in order to fail. If we never try, then we anchor ourselves in being a failure, right? But we have to definitely try first. And that's what it is. And so this is what I encourage any man or woman, right? I do cater to women, right? But I have conversations with men as well because I come in light and delicate, but very stern, so more like Debo-ish, right?
not only did
And
you
we
say, not only did you say stern, but you said very stern. But okay,
very
all
stern.
right, okay, Debo.
Right, exactly. But once again, this is who I am. This is a part of who I am, not only just in my name, right? My birth name, but the name that I knew that I was from the beginning, uniquely made. And just talking to people, I, allow them to see the same exact thing, right? We have to be the individual first before we be the connection. We
I'm
have to
sorry.
be
I'm
the
sorry.
individual.
This has to be somebody that knows you. This has to be somebody that knows you pretty well.
Okay.
Not that one. This one for sure. But okay, okay about Debo about being. I'm sure that was
That
about the Debo comment. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
yes, 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 that is my sister.
Okay, okay, okay.
For
So maybe
sure.
they got a little. They got to experience that. They got to experience the Debo effect.
Yes, yes. And this is the thing. I want everybody to understand when you are connected to somebody, it is an experience. Always think about what experience are you leaving with the people that you connect with, in the rooms that you enter, right? Whether it's a church home, whether it's a grocery store, even on social media. If nobody is talking about you, that's the failure. People should be
Explain.
listen. Okay, so just the way I showed up, just the way I came in very quiet. I only replied to things that was for me, right? just, with our connection. But I also engage, right? So this is what I'm saying, talking about. It's called holding space for other people. In life, a lot of people are not being listened to. So if you're not being listened to, you're not being heard. If you're not being heard, you're not being seen, right? I can keep going, right?
I,
Go
I
ahead.
want,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was listening for another one. I was listening for another one.
Yeah. So, if you're not being heard, you're not being seen. And by not being seen, it's almost like you become a mirror for somebody else. This is when we live other people's lives. This is when we allow other people to lead our lives.
I'm telling you, you're the educator. I'm just here. You're the educator. So I want to know
Oh,
what
no, I
this
thought you
means.
were going to
When you
ask a
say these,
question.
when you when you, I'm getting there.
Okay.
When you say these things, I want to know what you mean by these things. I do
Right.
personally. So when you just mentioned about not being seen, not being heard, and what did you say about leading another person's life?
Yeah. So when we are in these spaces, building up to how we connect to other people, if you don't know who you are and what your why is, you wind up living somebody else's life, a life that somebody else has created for you, you know,
Understood.
and being, yeah, and then you become the seed in other people's lives that you can never grow from. You can never grow from,
Understood.
because the thing about a seed is it has to be watered, right? It has to have light. It has to be watered. And so these are breakthroughs. So if I'm connecting with other people, exactly, and that's what it is.
Oh,
Nobody else can tell your story. Nobody else can
okay.
tell your story.
Lynette Vignette. Lynette Vignette.
Lynette, Lynette.
Vignette.
Nobody
Lynette
else can
Vignette.
tell your
Okay.
story, right? And so, with that being said, who you connect with is high. Like they say, the five closest people to you, are very important in our growth. And one thing I make sure of, anybody that I am connected to, I am shifting their perspective, because I understand how it's like to
But
be
even
in that same loop.
go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I'm just that's what I was saying. I understand what it's like to be in the same loop of not being heard, not being seen, not being understood, right? But we have to do all of those things for ourselves. So that's what I was leading it to.
But even I believe that even with everything you said being true, um, the people that we are connected with, sometimes we have to be careful of treatment between the two, the treatment between how I treat them, how they treat me, and what I allow. The things that I allow. I think sometimes we as individuals, I think we allow just a little too much sometimes because the relationship we might have with a person. And then we start taking on this stuff, and it affects us in the long run. Because there have been times when somebody I'm close with, I'll let them get away with saying certain things and belittlements and put downs and stuff like that, only because I know the person. Maybe I know them intimately. Maybe they're a close family member or something. But over a period of time, that stuff starts to replay again. And I think that comes from just letting individuals get away with certain things because of uh, the relationship. I don't know. Once again,
So
you're the you're the educator.
right. So this is the thing with our intuition and our discernment, which is something that also has to be built within us. Exactly. With that being said, building that discernment. Discernment is a process, right? It's having multiple experiences and understanding, oh, if I do one thing, then this will happen, right? Um, and so also with our intuition, it's a gut feeling. It's
Mhm.
like you said, I know the person. I know what they're capable of, and I've experienced this before. But what it's called is lumerance. It's called lumerance. And lumerance is a thing where we are constantly showing up for abuse. It
Oh, hold on,
feels
hold on, hold on,
normal.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Now, you just struck a nerve. You said we constantly show up for abuse. So this is not something, in my opinion, this is not something that just happens out of the blue. This is not something that just possibly falls on us. This is something that we actually, is it safe
We're
to say this
choosing.
is something that we actually preparing ourselves, like prepping ourselves to walk into this
Hmm.
trap, into this cage, into this pain? We've been doing this so long that we're comfortable with it. Is that safe? Am I safe to
Yes,
say that? Okay, all right. I just want, all right.
it's pattern recognition, right? It's normal to us, and we keep showing up for it. And this is why they say, do I, I should disconnect from my parents. I should disconnect from my siblings. I should move and do all these things. But the thing is, you're showing up for it. You're showing up for it. It doesn't matter who it is. It's a choice, right? So a lot of times we show up for it and we sit back and just embrace it. We embrace what they say. We embrace what they do instead of reversing that and saying, "Hey, I noticed that you do this often. I'm today's not the day, right? This is a boundary." And I know we talk about boundaries a lot. Um, exactly. And that's the thing. We have to place those
Definitely true,
boundaries. We
Lynette.
have to place
Lynette.
those boundaries. And if we do not place those boundaries, then how do people know where to cap things off at, right? So I did hear you say that I'm constantly giving and giving, right? But this the thing, that's your choice.
Hmm.
Nobody can take anything
Hmm.
from you that you haven't already given them. And this is where the cup has to be full, right? This is when I coach, I'm showing you, hey, you are full of a lot of things. So when we do give, it's just a factor of changing the heart posture because we have our dial all the way up. Here you go. This is for you. I'll let you take this, whether it's my time, my money, my couch, right? A meal, whatever the case may be. These are all choices, right? But we have to understand until we are in the overflow and understand that we are abundant, and we just are who we are. We have to learn how to adjust that heart posture. And so things aren't being taken from us. We're just pouring from an overflow.
Not being taken from us, but just handing it over, just handing it out like candy.
We are handing it
Is
over.
that
We are hand
just handing it out?
and that's one thing about our purpose, right? This is how we are uniquely made in our own ways. We show up in spaces and places where we give ourselves. This is a space where we are giving ourselves, right? You are giving a part of who you are, and I am giving a part of who I am. And these are choices that we make. But we're also showing up in purpose through experience. And so just in this very moment,
Sometimes, sometimes it's definitely not. Sometimes it's definitely not beneficial. And um, you mentioned it about like just giving and giving, and I think that sometimes I think sometimes for me it's out of guilt, like a guilty feeling.
mhm,
Um, mind you, I already shared, my part of my story is dealing with substance abuse and all that stuff, right? And being the youngest of the family, I felt like I'd let my family down. So, and I always said, if I ever made it, if I ever hit the Powerball, if I ever got this big lump sum of money or whatever, I'll take care of every one of my sisters. I have 5 sisters and I had 3 brothers. I was like, if I ever, I would take care of my sisters and this and that. Even to this day now, even like if I have anything, I feel like if they call me and ask me for it, they need something and it's actually gonna put me in a hole, I'll give it to them because like out of that guilty type of feeling because they were there for me through every mile of my rough patches, no matter what. So that guilt just kind of it's a guilty feeling. So it's like I have to do that, which is not beneficial at all. Sometimes we just keep digging a hole for ourselves.
but that also can relate to real life experiences, where we feel like we're going to get something back or we feel like, oh, well, they've done so much for me that sometimes we do things unlimitedly, right? Especially being the youngest. I am the youngest of 5, so I understand what it's like to feel to be in
Uh,
that space, right?
and
But
it's
this is what
and
I
it's sad how
also
they pressure
understand.
us. It's sad how they
This
pressure
is
us. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
listen, even to this day, I still understand, right? Like my sister that pops up, she's the middle, right? She's what they call the knee baby, you
I was gonna
know.
say she
Um,
didn't put no comment just then. But go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
um, but it's one of those instances where you see things, right, and you want the love, right? You want the connection. Even though you separating yourself the whole time, you're separated, and they make you feel like you're separated. But you have to understand you've experienced things with them. You know what to do, you know what not to do, right? And so we're learning those patterns, but we're also becoming something different because now we get that recognition, right? And
Mm.
also when it comes to our parents, it's new versions of them as well, so they may think, hey, you get everything, or it's easier for you. And so I've had that experience as well. But one thing I will say with my siblings, and I just wanted to share this, is that now I have set those boundaries as individuals, right? Not in a lump sum, but as individuals. So we can't lump them all together because they are individuals. Yet another thing I want to say is this.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I just had to. I'm sorry. But I knew she was gonna chime in at some point. So there you go. There you go.
I was going to say most people think she's old. Exactly, exactly. But being the youngest, that is so true. That is so true. And so many times I'm like, is it how I look? But they're like,
Oh,
no, when you start to speak, you know. Um, but I've definitely, of course, but yeah, but I've definitely, just being the youngest person, I'm always giving. Still to this day, right? I don't think we'll ever stop that. Let's be honest, right? But we have to learn how to
eh.
have the boundary. And the word no has a period behind it, you know?
My exclamation mark.
Oh, okay.
My exclamation
Maybe
mark behind it.
it's
When I finally do. Yeah. Mine's got exclamation mark
yeah,
behind it.
yeah, and that's okay, right? That's okay because these are people that we love, right? And so I've had those conversations even with the closest people to me, um, where I'm constantly giving, but I also have to show up for me first. And that's why you know who you are, right? That's the big why. I am who I am because, and this is how I choose to move. Everything is a choice. This is how I choose to respond. This is how I choose to show up. Right.
Doing much better. Doing much better.
Right.
What does that combat? Would you know what you would know what it means? I don't know what it means, but it's on screen, so everybody
Uh
else would know.
right,
What
right, right. I
doing
don't
much
know. She
better?
would have to elaborate, but I know just in general how I used to talk, the things that I used to say. Now I'm a lot more lighthearted, and understanding
Oh, so there's a
because
little okay.
there's a
Debo was
breakthrough.
really in there.
Oh yeah,
Debo was
yeah,
really in
but
there.
but
Oh,
there is a breakthrough.
okay.
There is a breakthrough, right?
That's
And
saying
so in a
that's
space, and this
saying
is a
nothing.
learning process. Yes, yes, there is a breakthrough, right? And this is what hopefully other people can connect with this. For every day, there's a breakthrough, right? For every person that we connect to, there's a breakthrough because it's more information being taken in. So the more no's I gave, right? Because this it's a gift is no is a gift. I want to repeat that. The word no
Please do.
is a
Please
gift.
do.
Yeah, it's a gift. And so the more gifts I gave that were attached to no, that were attached to no, I understood that,
Uh-huh.
oh, there is other people that would help those people because we are not God. We may be God-like, but we are not God. So we cannot be everything to everybody. And so that's what we need to learn how to show up for us first. And if the word no is the gift that you have to give, let it be the first gift.
Yeah, because ultimately giving, keep giving and giving and giving and giving, and now there's nothing left for us. We're empty. We can't even give to ourselves. and basically it's just draining. And that's that term draining. People, you just draining this and that. And it's not about you taking things physically. It's actually literally emotionally and mentally draining, dealing with
Yes, but these are our
everything else
choices.
to everybody else. These are our choices. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's when we put ourselves in those. Not. I'm not taking all the blame for this now, but sometimes putting ourselves in certain situations and just find it so difficult to get out of. The mental and emotional situations that are placed.
And
What
this is
else we
and this
got
is what
here?
I talk about with Lumeric, right? Exactly. He gives you what you need. And this is what I talk about when we're talking about Lumerance, right? Where we sit and we keep showing up. We keep showing up for things. We keep showing up for traumas and the things that people say and the things that people do to us. Instead of saying, hey, today I choose to not show up for it. So either I'm going to end the phone call early or I'm not going to answer, right? Either I'm going to show up for work and I'm going to engage with this person like I usually do, or today I'm just going to hold the words, right? Because everything doesn't have to be explained. Everything doesn't have to be, we give so much of ourselves, right? Even in combat. And, when I talk about the Lady Debo part, I was like, this is this, right? The finger pointing and all of that. So,
Not
so,
only the, not only the director, but you was a soldier as well, the soldier and the general.
right. But now, guess what? I put on my gloves and I fight for other people. I fight for their mindset. I fight for their shifts. Yes, and God will answer. Exactly.
God, that's correct. You can pray, yet God will answer you. You not you want not you want. I'm low.
You
Think
need not
that's
and you
correct.
want not. Yes.
Okay,
You
I knew
need
something
not
was
and you
missing.
want not.
I knew something was
Yes.
missing in there. I'm sorry about that, Lisa. Sorry about that, Lisa.
And so those are the things. And right, hallelujah. And so yes, I just want to encourage people, show up, right? You are you are for a reason. You were born uniquely made, you know, be who you are by speaking up, showing up, expressing your authentic self, being your authentic self. And what that would look like is in your heart, what do you feel? And if in your heart, when you feel like you have to fight and it's only for yourself, then we have to show up and say, hey, I'm not in this alone, right? This is when we start to find those connections, which is what I call resources. People like me, coaches, therapists, right? Counselors. These are people that I want to encourage people to connect with. Mentors, right? It's not just coaches, but there's levels and levels to these things, right? So, um, and each person, right, in this mental health industry will say, hey, maybe I'm not the perfect fit for you, but I can refer you to this or I can refer you to that if you are willing to try. And so trying is the first step before any other move.
Why is trying the first step?
Because that's where we feel like we're going to fail, right? We start off with the failure thought. But with the purpose that we have, if we try, we build that momentum. And that's where we're stronger together. That's where that very pain that you felt like I've had to go through all of these things. Why me? Well, guess what? Now try to flip it. Let's try to work it out. Let's try to help other people break through the same exact thing because we don't experience anything for nothing. So just
Mm.
being the voice, being the direction, right? Being the seed. That's my main thing. If and that's what humble is, right? It's being the making yourself the smallest thing in the room, but the biggest authority. You can be the smallest in the room and show up as the biggest authority. Quiet power is the biggest power.
You're talking to me and about me now. Why not me?
Why not me?
Hey,
Exactly.
this name might stick in my head all night. It's been popping up on the
Lynette,
screen all night.
Lynette.
Lynette. Like
Yes. Why
But thank you
not
for
me?
chiming in. That
Yes.
that's that's something that um, I I feel that for me was and still is sometimes difficult. The why not me? Even in the painful situations, why not me? It's not like I'm not exempt, but sometimes I forget that I'm not. Uh, oh. Sometimes I forget that I'm not exempt. And the ego kicks in and all that. But then again, I have to remember why not me? Okay, Lynette. Okay, it's okay, Lynette. We get it, Lynette, Lynette. But
Well, we know that she
but yeah,
related. We're related.
yeah, just deboing the screen.
I
I'm
am a
messing.
life coach to everybody that I'm connected to, especially my siblings. So yeah.
One more thing.
Mm,
Can you get your connection back again? Just one more time
all right. Let's
before we
make
wind
sure.
down.
All right.
Okay.
Let me know.
Okay. I see that you pop
All
back
right.
on. So you okay. The
I'm here.
one screen you're not there, on another screen you are there. And the screen
Okay.
that you're on, I could anyway, it's cool. We're back on. But either way, I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed the episode and I want to have you back on again eventually.
Yes.
Within we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it a little bit later.
Sooner
But
than later. Yes.
okay. I want you to how can individuals contact you? How can people contact you for maybe consultation, for maybe I don't know. Whatever they wanted, whatever they have in mind to deal with, to discuss with you about what you have going on, and maybe they need some guidance, some help, some information. How can people contact you?
So right now I am building a website. It's already in the process. If you look it up, it's Fire to Freedom. But I am in the process of building the website. So for now, if you could connect with me on TikTok, if you have a TikTok, which is I'll give you the information to put in the bio as well. But I am uniquely made, as you can tell, it's right how it's spelled out, and Lady Debo, which is still my name. You can look up either one and just make your presence known, right? I will send you links or information right now. I am building a site so that way I can, but I do have schedules and calendars where I can connect you and we could see if we're a good connection, right? We could see if we're a good fit. And so, uh-oh. And to see if we are a good fit. Because once again, you may like me and I may like you, but I may not be, that coach that can pull out of you what's needed, right? And so if you can connect with me, and I'll make sure I give Derek, I'll give you my email um, to where I can send those links and get you on the schedule or just get you a consultation and we can have a conversation. Trust me, it only takes one conversation.
To
It
find
only
to
it only
figure it out.
takes one. It only takes one, and every conversation after that is just multiple breakthroughs. And so I'm looking forward to working with anyone that wants to connect. Like I said, I am on all platforms, but right now I'm connecting through TikTok as uniquely made. So
All right. Okay. Y'all heard it here first, I believe. No, not here first. Y'all heard it here. No, it's just the old thing. You heard it here first. But anyway,
this is
thank you
the
for
first
being
time I've spoken about it. So yes,
well. Okay then. See,
yes,
and yeah, Live Chat Podcast. We're going international, y'all. All right. So we have one more. Let me see
yes,
here. You're like her only if you can handle the truth about yourself. That was pretty strong there, Miss Josette. What is that, Josetta?
yes.
That was pretty strong there. Why did you have to put that on at the end? That was kind of strong. Now I'm gonna be stuck thinking
I
about
know
this
it's,
song.
exactly. I was about to say that. But this is the thing though. I've definitely enjoyed it. I could talk about it too as well if you want me to, but definitely the next time that I will be here, everything, everything will definitely be in that bio.
All right. All right. I just want to say thank you for being on my guest tonight on Live Chat Podcast. Thank you for everybody that tuned in tonight to watch the live episode. And I appreciate everybody that will be tuning in to watch the replays on Facebook. and YouTube, and everybody was in the comments. I definitely appreciate you, and still have more popping up. And this is gonna be the last one for the night, Miss Josetta Patterson. But you have to acceptance.
Have to learn how to
You keep
receive.
just Miss
I
Josetta.
know.
You keep putting this stuff in here, this elaborate stuff, and it's like stabbing me in my heart right now. But thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for being a part of the solution instead of the part of the problem. Also, don't forget. I just had to throw this in there. I just had to throw this in there,
Mhm.
not to take away from Miss Denise, uniquely made Bowman. But if you haven't already purchased a copy of my book, Fire in the Belly, on Amazon, please do so. Support the little guy with a big impact.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a great night. Be blessed.